Welcome to your Artsy Girl podcast. I am your host, Christina Carrere. This is a podcast about art, poetry, and anything about creativity. Sit back, relax, and get your dose of brain food to get your creative juices flowing. This is episode number 1, and it is January 28th, 2019. Episode 1. Yes, welcome everyone. Well, here it is. I know I told most of you on Facebook that I was planning this, albeit a month ago, but here I am. Well, what do I want to accomplish with this podcast? I don't know really, to be honest. Just thought it'd be, can be another creative avenue to explore. What I do plan is to feature other artists, writers, musicians, and poets so that the audience can learn who is out there doing their thing. I plan to touch on topics such as anything about creativity, how to sustain it perhaps, or how to be a productive artist, etc. I am by no means a super productive artist or consider myself an expert. I work a day job that is more technical than it is creative. I have been a single mom for many, many, many years. So I have been in many dry spells, so to speak, in my journey as an artist and a writer. I consider myself a poet and writer first and foremost. However, I do dabble in other art forms, genres, such as singing and songwriting. Right now, I'm trying to learn acoustic guitar, hopefully to learn some chords to write a song of my own. So stay tuned on that one. I am a visual artist also with studio art experience. I have exhibited at small venues here and there. I haven't painted or, drew in a very long time. So I hope to get that going once I make more space in my garage. Well, I have tried to support other artists and writers where I can, because who can best support the arts but other artists and writers? Who usually reads but writers? So I try to buy my artist friends' books, attend events, etc. 5 years ago, I started an online literary and art magazine entitled The Manila Envelope. It was pretty cool, actually. I was the only one curating, creating, managing the website. But I was doing this all in a small, tiny island out in the Pacific, Pohnpei, Federated States of Micronesia. Most of you probably don't know what that is or where that is. I taught English at the College of Micronesia there for a year. So I was there. We had internet. It was, decent. The project was short-lived. Notwithstanding, however, I do plan to resurrect that someday with perhaps more help in sponsorships or editors. I did manage to feature great artists and writers from all over the world. I'm serious. They were just phenomenal. Some went on to evolve into great poets with lots of accolades, and writers as also, and artists. So I'm very proud of that, and I hope to, resurrect that someday. I also want to disclose that I am Filipino American. My mother is full-blooded Filipina. My father was a U.S. Air Force Service member during the Vietnam conflict, and hence I was born in the Philippines. My stepfather did adopt me. He is also a U.S. service member at the time, since I was 2 years old, and my mom and him are still together today. So I grew up as an Air Force brat, primarily in the Philippines with 2 tours to the States and back. I graduated from Wagner High School in 1985. Yes, I am showing my age here. I grew up in the era of no cell phones or personal computers. Imagine that. I can't believe how much we've evolved in that sense. Yet, I consider my upbringing as rich and dynamic. I played basketball and volleyball in high school and went to Okinawa, Japan, Kadena Air Force Base to be exact, to play the Far East tournaments in the mid-'80s. My poetry and writing has been about my growing up there, post-Vietnam era, and the unique and, yes, complicated experiences of growing up at Clark Air Force Base at the time. In fact, my first full-length poetry collection, entitled By Astrolabes in Constellations, is now out through Agave Press, and that's spelt Agave, and you can find the links to order my first poetry collection, first full-length poetry collection at ChristinaCarrere.com/books. And my name is spelled ChristianaQuerrer.com/books. I also have a poetry chapbook. And chapbook is a smaller collection, less than 30 pages or so. And it's The Art of Exporting through Dancing Girl Press, a feminist press out in Chicago, headed up by Christy Bowen, who is an excellent poet herself, doing wonderful things. She's a wonderful poet and a supporter of the arts. And also with this collection features my eldest daughter, Tiana Dinger. Now she was Tiana Madison then. When she visited me here in Florida, she took amazing photos, black and white photos of Brooker Island here in Tampa Bay. So anyway, if you'd like to learn more, go ahead and do order those. I mean, it'd be great to have your support on that. So I just want to continue on about my thoughts of podcasting. I wanted to learn more technical skills. I was a computer tech in the Army back in the early 90s, and I've continued in some capacity in the technical field, help desk, consultancy, creative, website design, etc. So I just wanted to kind of, because I have a great mix of technical and creative skill sets. So this kind of melds it all together. So, while I was getting my creative degrees, my MFA in creative writing, I supported myself, as a technical support person in various capacities. I'd like to thank my parents, and I've thanked them many times before, their support while I, went to school full-time and worked full-time while my daughter was little then. Without their support, it would be very, very hard for me to achieve those goals. So, in short, I'd like to say that I took the scenic route in life. So, and as far as, that's why I think I would like to start this podcast about what it is. What does creativity mean to people who create things? What does that entail? And maybe we can share our stories and glean from them and learn from them. And what works for one person may work for another. So that's my idea about maybe perhaps this where this podcast might evolve to. So anyway, I'd like to gather some artists, poets and writers, musicians, and even gypsy travelers and pick their brains a little bit to talk about their works, their evolution, their processes. Some will be longtime friends of mine, some not, but I hope to make new friends at the very least. Hopefully you will stay tuned and watch this podcast evolution as well. Maybe perhaps we can gain some sponsorship and grow as well. Touching hearts with the gift of inspiration. I know that's campy, but hey, we all do need some inspiration. Why did I entitle this Your Artsy Girl podcast? I started a blog about 10 years ago entitled yourartsygirl.blogspot.com, and it's still there. And I'm going to go ahead and cross-post maybe perhaps this podcast there as well. It encompasses everything about creativity in the arts. I did reviews of fellow poets, writers. So it's my intent to bring it to life in stereo. Why not? So that's it for this week, I think. And until next week, that's all. I'd like to thank you, my first listeners. The things I've discussed here, links to resources, etc., can be found in the show notes located at ChristinaCarrere.com/podcasts. You can also submit comments, feedback, or questions at yourartsygirl@gmail.com. This is Christina Carrere, hoping you all have an inspiring and creative week.